Many people underestimate the art of negotiation, why it's important to know how to negotiate. But in this video, we're going to tell you not only the reason why it's important to negotiate, but how to negotiate effectively. But first, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Creating Elude Mental Gems. This channel is dedicated to leveling up in all areas of your life. So let us learn together, read together, but most importantly, grow together. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. So why is negotiation important? We learn to negotiate since we're very young. Let me give you a scenario. As a child, if you ever wanted to go play outside, you knew that you couldn't just go outside, right? If you came from a structured home, you had to negotiate your time to play. If you wanted to sleep at a friend's house, if you wanted to go to a party, you learned how to negotiate that, right? So since we were children, we learned how to negotiate, even staying up a little later past our bedtime, or getting that extra scoop of ice cream, or getting that gift that we wanted for Christmas, etc. And as we grow into adults, you use negotiation, not just in the business setting, because a lot of people think negotiation just happens in a business setting. But you use negotiation, of course, at work in the business setting, but you use it in your relationships, you use it with your children, you use it with your friends, you use it when you're purchasing a car, when you're buying a house, you use it in everyday interactions. You even use it when you get pulled over by the police, when you have to go to court, and it's really important. The people that master the art of negotiations are usually the people that get out of sticky situations or that enter situations that's going to be in their advantage. Let's talk first about this key to negotiating is to be prepared, the art of being prepared. Let me give you a micro example with that. When, for instance, as children, if you wanted to go play outside, or you wanted to go to a party or go to a friend's house, the first thing you do by preparing is making sure that your room was cleaned, you did all your chores, you did all your homework, and you were on your best behavior when you knew you was about to ask for something that your parents could say no about. Now, by the time you go speak to your parent and you're like, hey, can I go to this party? Or can I go sleep over my best friend's house or this and that? The first thing they're going to ask you, did you clean your room? Yes. Did you do your chores? Yes. Did you do your homework? Yes. Did you, all right, let me think about it. And then you're nice, you're on best behavior. If mama or daddy needed anything, water, you're running to get the water, etc. You're well prepared. And 9 out of 10 times your parent will say yes if they're softened a little bit, right? But if when they ask, did you do your chores? Yes. Did you do your homework? No, go in there and do your homework. So we learned from a young age, if we want something, we have to give something in return, right? And with our parents, that means chores, homework, etc., all of that good stuff. It's the same way when I learned this lesson in purchasing my first car, that I wasn't very prepared when I went in there. I didn't know anything about credit. I didn't know anything about savings, etc. I had to learn all those stuff from scratch. But when I went and I realized, hey, my credit is not where it needs to be. I'm not prepared to get this and that terms, the down payment that I will have to put down, and the monthly payments that I will have to make. I need to go back to the drawing board, okay? A lot of times with negotiations, even with a house, when I used to do credit repair for people and then connect them with real estate agents, one of the things that they would not be prepared about, they'd come in, yes, Corinne, I'm ready to fix my credit because I'm getting a house this year. But once I help them out with the credit aspect, and everything is all good, when it comes to the real estate agent, and it all falls down. Why? There was no money in the savings for it. Even the income is not enough to even qualify for a certain loan, etc. So there's a little hurdle there. There's a little lack of preparedness there. So if you want to have a successful negotiation, you want to be prepared. And in the business setting, I'll give an example of a friend of mine that owns several assisted living facilities. And when he purchased his first assisted living facility, he used that as an example when he went to continue to purchase more facility, because there was a lot of things that he learned from the mistakes of his first one that he was like, okay, moving forward, I know how I'm moving with the next couple of facilities that I have. So the preparedness is doing a little bit of more of your homework. Now, if you're buying a business, because once you buy a business, a lot of people buy businesses that are already well-oiled machine functioning. They have their employees, they have the building already, a system in place, right? They don't buy it from scratch and then have to get employees, whatever. They're just basically taking over. But in order to do that, you have to make sure that things are actually in order and are working well. So there's a lot of questions to ask. And not being prepared is just saying, oh my goodness, this company makes $4 million a year. That's their growth. right? But behind the scenes, yes, they do make 4 million a year. It is a company with 4 million a year coming in, but they also have a loss of 3.5 million a year also. That goes into mortgage, paying employees, additional costs, repairs, etc. And when you see that, okay, I have $500,000 left to pay myself, other unforeseen expenses, lawyers, etc. This company, at the end of the day, is bad business. A lot of people get into bad business where they buy companies that actually put them in debt when they thought it was going to be their savior. They thought that company was going to make them all money. They go into the business and, they invest into this company only to find out that there's more loss than what was coming in. But people gave them a projection that was false. So being prepared is really doing your homework to the T, doing the research for yourself, knowing what will this cost you. I remember, I'll give you guys an example. One of my cars that I always wanted was a Jeep Rubicon. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm from Lagunave, Haiti, and it was one of those cars that can get on rough terrain, mountains, or whatever. So I always wanted a Jeep Rubicon. But I'm a a great driver, I would like to say, but I'm not the most savvy when it comes to cars, etc. Right? All I know is I wanted the car. It's nice. I'm going to get it. One of my friends sent me a video of something that happens with Jeeps where they shake a lot, and that just happens. It's a norm. It can just happen out of nowhere, whatever. And I'm seeing multiple people on TikTok talking about it happening and stuff. And I'm like, what?
The reason why I'm making this video is because I want to talk to the girl who's about to buy a Jeep Wrangler, because you like Jeep Wranglers, because that was me a year ago. And let me tell you something, worst purchase I've ever made. I did my research before I bought this car. I read everything I was supposed to read. It ain't say nothing about no death wobble. I'm sitting in one right now. I was on my way to take a road trip, and it starts vibrating and shaking and breaking down on the road. Mind you, I bought it brand new, and it's going crazy on the highway. When I went to go to take it to them, I said, what is going on with my car? It's brand new. I've only had it for 2 months, and it's shaking, rattling, and rolling. And then she's like, oh, yeah, the death wobble. There's a name for it. That already lets me know that this is a common issue. And 3, why are y'all selling this car to people if you know that something's wrong with it? She's like, no, it's just a common thing. You kind of fix it once, you know the corporate Aaron voice. Things are not good, because here we are literally a year and it's doing the same thing. So then I go back to the service department and I'm like, hey, it's 2 days before Christmas and I got a road trip to take. You can't give me until January 10th? Of course you can't. You don't give a damn. You don't care. And I know that this is going to happen again, because this is the second time that this has happened. So you're aware of it. It has a nickname. You knew this before I bought the car. Not only that, the nickname is called the death wobble. Hello. I'm sorry. At this point, it's a regretful buy.
She was like, yeah, do your homework. And I started doing my homework. I'm like, okay, this might not be the car for me. This is more of an advance. That might be a car for someone who's really familiar with cars, that's not going to freak out and have anxiety with the shaking, that is quick on their feet. I need something that's a little bit more chill, a little bit more me, etc. And I learned to do research on what I'm going to get. Even in a house, to be patient, which goes into my second thing with negotiating, is being patient. You don't want to rush anything, okay? Take your time when negotiating. Take your time. As children, when we knew we wanted a party that was going to happen on the weekend, maybe the party's on a Friday, we start behaving ourselves since Sunday. Since Sunday all the way until, Wednesday, we know we're going to ask our moms or our dads, and then we're like, but you start behaving since then. Or if Christmas was around the corner, you knew to start behaving since around September-ish. Start being on your best behavior, because you're building up to get something that you want, right? That is called patience, that children learn at a very, very young age. And the same with negotiation. You do not want to rush anything. The biggest mistakes are made when you're rushing. For instance, if you are purchasing a car and the first car you see, you're like, oh my goodness, this is perfect. I love it. It's perfect. Da 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 da. And then you rush and you get into it. Next thing you see the same car that you wanted, but for a less price somewhere else. And you're like, dang, I wish I didn't rush too much, right? I'll give you guys that with like Instacart. I use Instacart a lot to do my groceries or whatever. And oftentimes I would get something and then when to go to the substitute, like they ask you, what if we don't have this? What would you like a substitute for or a replacement for? And then I'll find that there was a cheaper alternative to what I wanted or a better flavor. Like I wanted some scones and they had gave me like rum flavored scones. Me and my best friend was having a tea party. For the replacement, it said, do you want strawberry? Like what would you want to replace it for? And it had strawberry glazed scones. That was so delicious. And I was like, I didn't even know they had that. But I didn't scroll. I just put scones in and I put the first one that I saw. And I didn't even scroll to look for that specific scones. I know it's a silly example, but it goes to show just be patient and look through things. Don't rush and get what you feel right now is the best deal, but what in the turn will be the better deal for you. Okay, be patient. And another thing with the patience and a bigger scale, there's a company that I worked for that was my first business dinner that I've been on. And I felt like an adult. Oh my goodness, we're going on our first business dinner. And the woman had her company that wanted to sell our company a software. And the software was going to make our lives so much easier in the office. And during this dinner, I was just taking notes and watching everyone because it was my first one. I was just supposed to sit and learn. And I noticed that an hour and a half passed and there was no business talk. The business talk that was happening was more so what school did you go to college-wise and like how did you get started into this business, etc., blah, blah, blah. But nothing really, I'm talking about even kids, the restaurant, weather, all talks were happening. Business didn't start until way later. A couple drinks was had, dinner, the meals, etc. And by the end of it, everyone was relaxed, everyone was calm, and then we were able to get into business. And I was like, why did they take so long? But it created a trust. It created a rapport. And if you look at business meetings, even on TV and movies, like Pretty Woman, our favorite scene where she pushed a snail with her fork, right?
What do you plan to do with the company?
Break it up and sell off the pieces?
Sure you understand I'm not thrilled at the idea of your turning 40 years of my work into your garage sale.
You are going to be a very rich man.
I just want to head my shipyard.
Slippery little suckers.
They were having a business lunch, but there was jokes first. There was, hey, friend, da-da-da. A lot of business deals are made on the golf course. They're made in the country clubs. They're made in restaurants, even bars, because people are a little bit less guarded. A lot of business meetings or deals are not going to be held inside of a cold, stiff office where you just go direct. Oftentimes, it does happen where it's, a little stiff. Maybe someone wants to partner with you and they're coming in from another country, I don't know, like China or Singapore or something. And they come in and they don't really go to a restaurant. I'll come into the office and I'll make the business deal. But 9 out of 10 times when you really have a big deal, like you want to negotiate, it's going to be had over dinner, over drinks, because you want to take your time. And usually they know, hey, 4 or 5 hours off my schedule for this lunch because we're going to take our time. We're not rushing. I'm going to ask all the questions, which goes into number 3, be an active listener. Ask a lot of questions with what you're about to get into, which is part of being very prepared, right? Ask a lot of questions in the sense that, for instance, with the company, if you want to purchase a company that you see, hey, they say the company makes $4 million a year, but there's also a loss of 3.5. The person who's trying to sell you that company is not going to tell you that there's a loss of 3.5. They might just tell you, hey, it's $4 million a year. Okay. But how you ask a question sneakily, because if you ask all bold and aggressively, like, hey, so what is the loss? Yes, I know you make $4 million, but what is the loss? They will manipulate you and might not tell you. But if you ask more strategic, you take your time, you're patient, and you say, oh, $4 million, that's awesome. That's a great deal. How much do you pay your employees? What are the salaries for the lowest ranking employees and the highest ranking employees? Okay. And what are some of the costs and repairs that needs to be done in this facility or this company? Okay. And how often do you guys get lawsuits? Because most successful companies will always have lawsuits. And how much do you pay to keep your a lawyer on retainer? Except you ask little details to where eventually you can do the math, a quick math in your head. Like, yeah, they say 4 million, but I can already see at least 3 million with losses right there. This will not be a good deal for me. I'm not seeing really the value coming in from this company, right? But to be a good active listener, on a micro scale, you can say, like with children, when we were younger, you would ask your parent, can I go outside to play? And it probably was 6 p.m. And they're like, oh, you see the time, it's almost late. No, get it, da, 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 da. So then we learn by listening to that next time, if I want to go outside to play, then I need to ask a little bit earlier, maybe 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. And then when I go back to my mom or my dad and be like, can I go outside to play? Last time you said 6 p.m. was too late. It's a little bit earlier now. Because you listened, it's like, oh, okay, what can they really say, right? So listening and then taking it back with you and using it for the future, going back to you said, repeating this or whatever. The next one, of course, is having something to offer in return. It has to be a win-win situation for everybody. For instance, with the business lunch that we went into, this company was trying to sell us a software that was going to take a lot of the manual work that we were doing into the office and make it easier, right? So here's the win-win. The software was going to cut all of our work in half. A lot of things, filings, etc., that we were going to have to do manually was going to cut it in half. Now, when it cut it in half, we have more time to deal with clients, more time to do other work, right? So that's a win-win for us. The more time we have to deal with newer clients and other clients, that's more money in the company's pockets. And it was a win-win for her company because her company was getting that money that we would have from using her software on a consistent basis in that partnership. So it just made sense to do it. But it was a win-win situation, right? So in that case, it's like, again, purchasing a car, purchasing a house. Yes, I need a car to get to point A, point B. There's something I'm getting out of it, right? But whoever the car dealership is or the salesman, they get a commission, they get this. So for them, they're going to try to sell you the car that has the most, that costs the most, because they get a bigger commission, a bigger cut from it. So in that instance, they want to make sure, though, they know you will get into them or spot them out if they sold you something that you're like, So they're very strategic about it. We're not going to, a good car salesman is not going to give you the most expensive car in the lot. They're going to try to show that they're always giving you the best deal. They're looking out for your best interests, right? So they're going to show you a car and be like, I know you need that. Look, the mileage on this, the gas and this, blah, blah, blah. Try to sell you all the reasons why it's good for you. But then you make sure you ask follow-up questions to make sure it is indeed good for you, that even once you do make the purchase to get their commission, because they have families to feed and kids to feed too, you make sure that, hey, it's a win for them, but it's also a win for me. I'm not getting bamboozled. It goes 50-50, right? So always make sure you have something in return. Just like with a parent, if you want to go to a party, you will want to do your chores or clean up a little bit extra in the house because, hey, you're giving something in return to your parent. When they see that you've done so much chores, 9 out of 10, if they're a good parent, they're going to feel somewhat like, man, they would be good all day. They clean, they do this. Let me give them a bone and they'll let you go. But they got something out of return for it. You didn't just ask and then the whole house was messy. You made sure everything was spotless. They have no choice. Do you see how it works? And also, if you rush, which is the next one, don't rush, take your time, be patient, is because even in a dating scene, right? If a guy has bad intentions for you, he just wants to lay with you and he's aggressive with it and pushy and not taking his time to flirt, to court, etc. He's rushing the process. You can be a little turned off by it, like, what is his problem, right? But if he takes his time and kind of maneuver it around, a lot of women, they lose their heads over that. It's the same thing in negotiation. If someone wants to go into business with you and they're very aggressive and pushy about it, they're rushing the situation, forcing you into signing, rushing, getting irritated, you'll be put off by it. The best thing for them to do is to slow down, be patient, and allow you the time to ask a lot of questions. Whenever you feel rushed in a negotiation process, it's not for you. Don't fall for the pressure. Just like your parents will tell you, if you ask them something once, can I da-da-da? And then you keep rushing your parents and you, stop rushing me. What's your problem? The parent will be like, what? Can you hold on? It comes off a little like mischievous, right? So take your time. Don't rush. And my last one is do not be afraid to walk away. Do not be afraid to say no. Don't have the desperate energy while negotiating of feeling like you cannot say no. Okay? Because I learned from my guy friends that, Kareen, once you like something, you're a little too hype. Like I see a car, I'm like, oh my goodness, I love it, it's perfect. And then the dealership guy's like, oh, she really loves this car. So I can, charge a little extra. She's definitely going to say yes because she loves this car so much. And I end up being stuck with a car that I didn't really that I could have got for cheaper, but I ended up paying the most for it. Even when shopping, they tell you, learn to have a poker face, learn to not really show too much excitement, especially if you go into a luxury store. And when you grow up in poverty, a lot of times, I used to be a victim of that. You want to prove that, hey, I can afford this now or whatever. So you go in there, you're excited about something. Okay, I want it. And you end up frivolously spending, wasting time to prove what? And it's not even something that you really want. And I find that the wealthy people are the most frugal. They're the cheapest. And they go in there, they're always unimpressed. I've never seen a wealthy person just go into a store. It's like, just to die. I must have it. Never in my life. They're always really quiet and look disinterested. But they do that for a reason. They don't even try to stand out as too wealthy when they walk into the store because they know whoever's working commissions is going to try to pull a buck on me. I'm not even giving you that satisfaction. So you don't want to come off that way. Regardless, even on a date, you don't want to appear too thirsty or too desperate, right? As a guy speaking to you, showing interest, or the woman or whatever, you want to just be casual, be thankful, flirty, but you're not thirsty and ready to just, oh my goodness, I'm not used to this kind of attention. You don't want to do that. So you want to be chill. And it's the same way with business. Remember, sometimes no negotiation is the best negotiation. Sometimes no deal is the best deal. Trust me. So if you feel like, hey, I'm not to trust your instincts. That's the bonus that I'll give. Trust your instincts and trust your gut. If you feel like I'm not too confident with this deal, trust me, no deal is better than a silly deal, a deal that's going to be a trap for you. And it's okay to not be so desperate. You get respect, and not only do you get respect, but you're less likely to get manipulated when they see that you're not easily swayed. And don't fall for the scam of you must do this now, limited offer, time, sold out. Even celebrities will show that their tickets are sold out, or this launch that they just did is sold out and waiting for, I just added more, or they just restocked. And no, it's a way they know is going to get people to feel rushed and pressured. Anytime I'm going to make a huge major sale, I try to remind myself, take a day. Don't buy it yet. Even clothes, guys, even shoes. I'll put something in my cart and then I'm like, I'll revisit that next week. And the outfit that I thought I just had to get now is not as interesting to me anymore. I'll go look through the cart. What was I thinking? Maybe I was in a good mood when I put this in my cart, but this is not something that's going to be flattering to me. So take your time, no matter what the purchase is, even groceries. I find when I put stuff in my cart when I'm hungry, by the time I give it some time, I'm full. I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need that. So take your time with every business that you're doing, because everything is negotiation. When you watch a commercial, they're negotiating with you to go purchase that item, to go to that restaurant, right? The grocery stores that have their sponsored items there, Amazon, Instagram, no matter where you're at, they're negotiating for your income, your time. They're trying to show you why it's a good deal for you. Infomercials, you probably click through screen in this video trying to get you to buy a course or something like that. They're negotiating with you. Take your time before you make that purchase. Think about it and trust your instincts. But this is all I have for this video. And of course, I will do more negotiation videos in the future. But comment below any more tips that I left out, and leave a white and black heart in the comments for me if you watch until the end. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time. Mwah.